Hey guys, Seth Brunson here. I'm an enterprise systems engineer and team lead at IMPRES Technology Solutions, coming to you almost live from our data center here at IMPRES headquarters. And today I wanted to talk to you about the ruggedized solutions available from our buddies over here at Dell. In fact, they have such a huge portfolio of products and solutions. I'll be adding videos that talk about each of their different product lines throughout the coming months. I really wanted to cram all of it into one big video, but I need about 8 hours to cover everything they do, and that is still just barely be scratching the surface. So we're kicking this Dell series off with the ruggedized solutions lineup. Here's a quick look at the agenda, and let's jump right in. So you might be wondering, what is this ruggedized stuff anyways, and why do I care? Well, we'll get to all that, but at a high level, there are certain types of people that tend to work in environments that aren't exactly safe for computers. So we have these special laptops and workstations that are classified as rugged, so anyone working in these extreme environments can still have a functioning computer, even in some pretty dangerous places. And to be fair, there are actually two primary categories of ruggedness when talking about these types of workstations. So first we have the semi-rugged, also sometimes referred to as business rugged. So semi-rugged laptops are basically standard laptops or notebooks which have had some adaptations to handle tough conditions. They usually have a spill-proof keyboard, a strong magnesium case, and a shock or gel-mounted hard drive which cushions it from any impact. So these laptops can survive in high and low temperature extremes. However, their performance might begin to suffer the more extreme the conditions. For example, using a semi-rugged laptop in extreme cold will probably result in a slowing down of performance or screens freezing and becoming unreadable. However, once you get them back into an operational and less severe temperature environment, they'll start to be able to run normally again. So these laptops are able to handle a certain degree of harsh conditions, but nowhere near as intense as the fully rugged models, which we'll talk about in a minute. These laptops are generally best suited to outdoor work, and they're popular with those working in jobs that involve some rough conditions, but not to any extreme. In comparison to the fully rugged laptops, semi-rugged laptops tend to look more sleek and stylish, as well as being lighter and more portable. Then of course we have fully rugged devices. So fully rugged laptops are designed to be able to function even in the harshest and most extreme environments. They can take a real beating and still perform, whether they're in the desert dust, frozen Arctic, or torrential monsoon rains. Each of their components is waterproofed and sealed, preventing moisture, sand, and any other hazardous environmental elements from harming or destroying the computer. Fully rugged computers are also designed to considerably reduce glare from both artificial light and the sun, allowing you to see the screen easily, even in the middle of the desert. Extreme variations of temperature can affect the functionality of some computers, making them work slowly or even stop them working at all. A fully rugged laptop is tough enough to withstand extreme heat and sub-freezing temperatures. The fully rugged laptops may not be pretty to look at, but they perform so well that they're considered military-grade computers. They stay reliable whether they're dropped or shocked. Some are even able to resist a blast, and they're almost indestructible. So you can think of fully rugged laptops as the Marines of the computer world, and coincidentally, Dell's fully rugged laptops are also marine-proof. So have at it, guys. So you might be asking yourself, do I need rugged hardware? Here are a few questions to help you figure it out. Has your laptop ever melted while on the job? Do you find it difficult to use your equipment when it's completely full of sand? Are you tired of replacing your laptops and servers because they keep falling apart when you're off-roading in your Humvee? Does your staff seem to have a talent for dropping and breaking computers? Do you ever find yourself working on your laptop on the deck of a ship in the middle of a hurricane? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you might want to pay attention because Dell's rugged lineup was made specifically for you. All joking aside, you probably know if you need hardware that's certified and tested for these harsh environments because you've been told that whatever you buy needs to comply with the infamous MIL Standard 810 test methods. What is this MIL Standard 810, you ask? Well, long story short, the US military came up with a series of tests that can be run against your devices to find out how they might hold up and keep on ticking even in some of the world's harshest environments. And they called this the mill standard 810. You might also see a letter after the 810 like 810H or 810G, and you can consider these different versions of the tests. So you'll generally want to look for the latest and greatest version to make sure you are the most compliant. So what types of things are tested in this mill standard scenario? It's a big list, and I'm not going to bore you with all the terrifying details, but here are some of the things that are tested against to meet the mill standard 810G spec.
Low pressure, high temperature, low temperature, temperature shock, contamination by fluids, solar radiation, rain, humidity, fungus, salt, fog, sand and dust, explosive atmosphere, immersion, acceleration, vibration, acoustic noise, shock, pyroshock, acidic atmosphere, gunfire shock, temperature, humidity, vibration and altitude, icing, freezing, rain, ballistic shock, vibroacoustic temperature, freeze thaw, time wave for replication, rail impact, multi-exciter, and mechanical vibrations of shipboard equipment.
Holy crap, some of you guys have tough jobs out there. There's more, but you get the idea. These tests are no joke. And Dell has a facility right there in Austin, Texas, where they blast these things for hours on end with all sorts of nasty tests like this, just to make sure they meet these incredibly harsh requirements. So anyways, that's enough of that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the product lineup and see how they each stack up. First up, we've got the Latitude 5420 semi-rugged laptop. This guy has a 14-inch multi-touch glove-capable, outdoor viewable FHD display with up to 1,000 nits of brightness. What's a nit? Well, the nit is the standard unit of luminance used to describe various sources of light. A higher rating means a brighter display. Displays for laptops and mobile devices are usually between 200 and 300 nits on average. A rating over 300 nits is solid. A rating above 500 is considered extremely good. Most laptop displays have a brightness of around 200 nits. The brightness of outdoor readable displays varies, but usually starts at 400 nits and above, and they employ filtering technologies to reduce reflectivity and or glare. Rugged notebook displays also have a lower minimum brightness, usually to around 2 nits, for use in low light conditions, when the display must remain visible without causing a distraction, like perhaps when you're running a mission at night and don't want your laptop to give away your position. And in this case, they can also go up to 1,000 nits, which is super bright. The 5420 offers dual hot swappable batteries to keep you running strong all day, as long as you have spare batteries sitting around. It has room for one hard drive with up to 2 terabytes of NVMe Class 40 SSD capacity, 32 gigabytes of RAM. It's available with an 8th gen Intel Core i7 processor and a variety of pretty decent discrete graphic cards, suitable for just about everything except maybe the latest ultra demanding video games, but that's not what these units are really built for. Of course, you get all of the other standard Dell Latitude features like wireless and Bluetooth cards, LTE mobile broadband support, not to mention a generous supply of standard I/O ports like USB, serial, RJ45, HDMI, SD, SIM card slots. This guy starts at just under 5 pounds, so it's not massive, but it's also technically semi-rugged. So this probably isn't going to survive an explosion or molten lava, but it'll keep you up and running in quite a few situations that normal laptops would absolutely fall apart in. So for regulatory and environmental compliance stuff, the 5420 was put through mill standard 810G testing for transit and operating drops at 3 feet. It was also tested against blowing dust, extreme vibration, functional shock, humidity, altitude, and thermal extremes. It's also passed the IP53 Ingress Protection Assault, which means your precious I/O ports and internal components are protected against dust and splashing water from any direction. It's important to point out here that all of the I/O bays have closable covers that help prevent dust and water from getting in, but they are by no means waterproof. But again, that's a big part of why these are considered semi-rugged and not fully rugged. Next up, we've got the Latitude 5424 laptop. This one is also semi-rugged. This one has pretty much the same exact specs as the 5420, so I'm not going to go over all of them again, but there are a few key differences. The 5424 is slightly bigger than the 5420, starting around 5.5 pounds. Part of the reason for that extra weight is because it can hold a second hard drive. Although for now that second drive is maxed out at 512 gigs of solid state capacity. also has room for an internal optical device. In this case, you can choose between a 6x BDRE drive or 8x DVD-RW. This is unique compared to the 5420 we just saw, so if you require an internal optical device, this might be your laptop. So again, the 5424 is basically the same as the 5420 with the addition of a few added expansion capabilities. And that wraps up the semi-rugged laptops. Let's take a look at the fully ruggedized options from Dell. So first up, we have the Latitude 7424 Rugged Extreme. The first thing you'll notice about this thing is that it is beefy. This sucker looks and feels like it can survive being run over by a tank, and it probably can. It weighs in starting at about 8 pounds, and luckily it comes with a super heavy-duty handle, which you'll probably need both hands to hold on to. Similar to the 5400 semi-rugged laptops we just saw, the 7424 can be configured with a 14-inch FHD WVA outdoor readable glove-capable display, also supporting up to 1000 nits of glorious screen brightness, 8th gen i7 CPU, 32 gigs of RAM, dual hot swap batteries, and a variety of discrete graphic card options. It also has the option of up to 3 hard drives or 2 drives and an internal optical device, making this guy quite a bit more expandable than the 5400 series. But that's not the only good news. Being fully rugged means this thing has survived some of the harshest tests available on the mil standard 810G spectrum, including drops from up to 6 feet, blowing rain, blowing dust, blowing sand. Why is everything blowing? Vibration, functional shock, humidity, salt, fog, extreme altitude, explosive atmosphere, solar radiation, thermal extremes, thermal shock, and it'll even survive being completely frozen and thawed back out again. In addition to that, where the semi-rugged laptops have basic covers for all of their I/O ports, these fully rugged machines have an IEC ingress protection rating of IP65, which basically means your ports can withstand extremely fine dust, highly pressurized water, hazardous locations, and even electromagnetic interference, thanks mostly to its absolutely waterproofed port covers. The 7424 looks a lot like the 5400 series, but it weighs almost 2 pounds more, mostly because it appears to be encased in some type of bulletproof armor, and it can probably take a bullet or two, although I'm not sure they actually test for that. All in all, the 7424 lives up to its name of rugged extreme, and you'd be hard-pressed to find a laptop that can sustain more abuse than this thing can. And our last 2 personal rugged devices from Dell are the Latitude 7220 and 7220EX Rugged Extreme tablets. Being tablets, these are going to be a little more portable than the 7424. And of course, they both use a very nice touchscreen interface rather than a standard keyboard, although they do have a really slick detachable keyboard you can add. More on that in a minute. The 7220 and EX are very similar with only a few differences, so we'll be looking at them both together. First, and really most importantly, these are both fully rugged. These are the kind of devices you can bring just about anywhere and still have a working computer. They both feature an 11.6-inch FHD, outdoor readable, anti-glare, anti-smudge, polarized, glove-capable touchscreen with up to 1000 nits of brightness, Intel i7 CPUs, integrated Intel graphics, all of your standard Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, LTE, and GPS options, your standard I/O ports, including SD card readers, and they're both also covered by the IP65 ingress protection certification, which keeps dust and water out of their inner workings. They're both also covered by mil standard 810G certifications, including drops from up to 4 feet, and all sorts of nasty environmental situations, just like the Latitude 7424. There are a few notable differences between the 7220 and the EX. For example, the 7220 supports 16 gigs of RAM, where the EX is currently capped at 8. The 7220 also supports up to 2 terabytes of solid-state drive capacity. The EX is limited to 512 gigs. But the most notable difference between the two is that in addition to the other amazing qualifications from the mil standard 810G and IP65 seals of approval, the 7220EX also covers you for ATEX and IECEX certifications, which is a fancy way of saying they won't blow you up. Seriously, the 7220EX is guaranteed to eliminate any possibility that the device could be the source of an explosion, which could be caused by an overheating or malfunctioning component, a spark caused by an unsealed electric circuit, or really any other reason. You see, there are hazardous environments that not only pose danger to devices for whatever reason, but which are potentially explosive because they're filled with vapors, combustible gases, and other flammable components. The use of regular electronics in these types of environments is in fact very dangerous. But Dell has developed its Latitude 7220EX Rugged Extreme tablet just for this purpose. So if you're unlucky enough to have to work in such a scary environment, you can rest assured that if anything is going to kill you, it's not going to be your laptop. So that's a pretty impressive lineup of ruggedized laptops and tablets. I wanted to also quickly point out that Dell offers a whole lineup of accessories, which you'll definitely want to consider when you're shopping around as well. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail here. I just wanted to show you some high-level options that might be useful depending on your environment. First up, we have accessories for the rugged notebooks. So we've got this vehicle dock, which will keep that laptop locked into your vehicle. We've got a shoulder strap here, an auto air DC adapter to let you keep your notebook charged in your vehicle. They actually have a pretty great lineup of bags and backpacks on their website. And then we've got your standard accessories here. So these are going to enhance your experience at your desk, like docking stations, monitors, keyboards, and mouses, and of course headsets. And for the tablet accessories, again, we have a variety of desk and vehicle docking mounting solutions, attachable keyboards, I/O modules, which you'll definitely want since these tablets don't have a keyboard and they don't offer much for built-in I/O. We've got various chargers, adapters, straps, and handles, and don't forget your stylus pen and your portable scanner. These accessories are all pretty standard options across the industry, but I like the fact that you can find everything you need all in one place right at Dell. Spent all this time talking about Dell's rugged laptops and tablets, which are all pretty exciting, but some of you may not know that Dell actually offers a ruggedized server. So let's take a look at this guy. This is Dell's PowerEdge XR2 ruggedized server, and technically I think this might be closer to a semi-rugged than fully rugged, because if this thing accidentally falls into the ocean for a minute or two, you're pretty much out of luck. You might also hear the term industrial rack server, which I think is also fair, but regardless of the name, it's definitely tough, and it's perfectly suitable to join you on that Humvee road trip across the desert. The XR2 has been tested and certified against the MIL standard 810G spec for all sorts of fairly extreme scenarios. It has an extra tight rigid chassis, floating drive cages, integrated filters to keep out sand and dust, and it keeps working even in extremely humid environments, and it really excels at withstanding sudden shocks and vibrations. It also features a customized short depth chassis, which can really be helpful when you need a powerful server that can fit into tight places, like a mobile rack or a transit case. In fact, a lot of our customers buy these things simply for the short depth form factor, because as you can see, it's not just cool because it's ruggedized, it is actually a fairly powerful server all on its own. If you're familiar with Dell's PowerEdge lineup, the XR2 is going to be very similar in capability to the 1U R640. The XR2 is also 1U, and as I mentioned, it sports a very compact 20-inch rack depth. Compare that to the standard depth on all of the other rack-dense servers at well over 30 inches. This guy saves you almost a whole foot of depth space. It can hold up to 8 2.5-inch hot swappable drives, capable of more than 30 terabytes of raw capacity, dual Intel Xeon CPUs, providing up to 44 total cores per unit, up to 512 gigs of RAM, also a variety of I/O cards and options to make it work in pretty much any environment you can think of. And with all of the environmental hardening, this thing can run at extreme elevations and temperatures. It's actually certified to 40 Gs of operational shock when using solid state drives. And it can even keep your mobile data center up and running in extremely dusty or wet conditions. All in all, for a fairly powerful rack-dense server, the XR2 can definitely take a punch. Well, I hope you got something useful out of all that, but before you go, I wanted to take just a minute to tell you a little bit about IMPRES and why we're here talking about Dell's portfolio. So, IMPRES has decades of experience with federal customers and helping them craft custom solutions to some of their biggest business challenges. And because of this successful track record, our sales and engineering resources are often seen as true extensions of our manufacturer partners like Dell. In fact, a few folks on our team have been in the industry for years, myself included. Most of the rest of our sales team are military veterans. So on one hand, we have subject matter experts in most of the major OEMs out there. And on the other hand, we've got people who have sat in your seats and they understand the challenges of your jobs. We're also geographically distributed, so my team has people physically covering everything from the DC area over to the West Coast and even out to the Pac Rim. So we travel and we spend most of our time talking to actual customers like yourselves. We hold multiple contracts and we're actually on the Dell Rugged BPA, which means you can order directly from the contractual agreements without having to compete it out. That's going to save you time and money. We also have dedicated teams covering every single federal government entity out there. Because of our history and our relationships, IMPRES has a strong understanding of the federal marketplace. We're an SBA certified hub zone, and we have a full professional services team that can help with just about any type of on-site services you might need. Behind the scenes, we've got a seasoned team covering contracts and proposals, cutting-edge cybersecurity specialists, and we have the financial stability needed to make your purchasing process as frictionless as possible. So if you work for or with the federal government and you could use some help with your rugged solutions or really any of your IT needs, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at sales@imprestechnology.com. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful day.